Imagine constantly feeling drained and resentful helping your family, only to realize that your efforts might be hindering their growth. Today, we're going to explore how to break free from enabling behaviors and empower your loved ones instead. You'll learn some easy tips for fostering that independence and strengthening those relationships without exhausting yourself. I'm your host, Kendra Nielsen. This podcast is all about ways you can improve your mental health, wellness, and life fulfillment for both you and your family. Hey parents, welcome to Fulfillment Therapy. Do you want to raise your kids better and have a stronger marriage? Are you up late at night researching marriage and parenting tools and self-care tips? Do you start each day hoping for deeper connections and less chaos, but it ends with family arguments and going 12 different directions again? My name's Kendra, wife, mom, therapist, and growth enthusiast. It wasn't until I discovered how to fulfill my unmet needs that I was finally able to show up as my best self as a spouse and parent. I realized that by meeting my needs, I could more fully meet the needs of my family with more energy and less resentment. In this podcast, I teach parents skills like boundary setting, prioritizing personal needs, communication, and claiming ownership. Just like my clients, you'll be shocked by the improvement in your marriage, parenting, and personal life when you focus on fulfilling your important, unmet needs. Ready to prioritize yourself so you can quit mentally throat punching people? Then grab those earbuds and head outside, and let's walk and talk. Today, we're discussing a crucial topic for parents and spouses: how to avoid enabling behaviors that can harm relationships and hinder personal growth. Do you find yourself so caught up in helping your family that you end up feeling drained and resentful? I know I do this, and I hear this from my clients all the time. I was applying these principles to myself and coaching myself through this, and I thought, okay, this is probably a space where other people could hear it too if this is something that I keep struggling with on and off, and I have a lot of the tools. So I want to help you understand with an example. I've found over time that I'm constantly reminding my family members to take out the trash. And not only that, but we just found out recently that our daughter has signed up for multiple extracurricular things that we did not know about or support, just small things here and there that she really wanted to do. But because of the extra expense, she didn't want us to say no. So she just minimized it and wrapped it up in some of the other things that she was doing. Like it was connected to choir, like maybe an extra trip for choir that wasn't required, but she wanted to go on. So she just didn't tell us. But she's been doing these little things throughout and just thinking, oh, it's fine because I'll take care of it. Not recognizing that these expenses are growing. Well, I had asked her about this balance on her school account, and she just kept telling me, no, that doesn't actually count. It doesn't really matter. It's fine. And she truly believed it was. Now it's over $1,000 balance, and I had been told that this was fine. This was not actually accurate, but I still wanted that confirmation, so I kept revisiting it. After I persisted, we found out that she is responsible for that full balance, and now she has this Disney World trip she's paying for in addition to college coming up. And we were torn from saving our daughter from that stress and that anxiety and that financial burden, or letting her face those natural consequences and learn a major life lesson. In a little bit, you'll see how our decision impacted our family dynamic. But before I get to that, I quickly want to remind you that we have 3 business courses and 3 mental health and wellness courses available on fulfillmenttherapy.org if you want to take your mental health and wellness to the next level, or if you want to start a passive income with a podcast. There are 3 courses for that as well. And it's incremental steps to get that up and running in simple step-to-step ways. So go ahead and check that out if you haven't already. But let's go back to this episode when it comes to enabling and its consequences. Enabling refers to behaviors that are well-intentioned often, but prevent others from experiencing natural consequences of their actions. This can lead to things like enmeshment, where those boundaries are blurred, and codependency, where one person's happiness is overly dependent on another's actions. Dr. Harville Hendrix said this: "The most powerful thing you can do for another person is to help them find their own strength." For example, constantly reminding your spouse to take out the trash might seem helpful, but you can undermine their sense of responsibility because I don't want all the trash in the garage. But if I keep enabling them, will they really learn that natural consequence and the lesson on their own and feel like they are capable even if they mess up sometimes? Or will they resent me for intervening even if it might be helpful in the moment? That brings me to the second point that I want to make. Enabling impacts self-esteem and relationships. Enabling can erode that self-esteem by sending messages to your family members that they are not capable of solving their own problems. Think about your own situations in your life, how this often creates resentment and disconnection in relationships. My friends, when we allow our loved ones, say your child, your husband, whoever it is, to face their challenges, we foster an environment where they can learn to develop more resilience and confidence. But we rob them of that if we rescue them too much. And so many of us do with great intentions, but it doesn't help in the long run or often even in the short run. For example, if they're forgetting their jersey all the time for sports after school and you are running them over and over, they're not going to be learning much. And it's easy to think about what to do if you're thinking about somebody else. But when it comes to you and wanting to spare that child that pain or that embarrassment, that frustration, but in the process, we become frustrated and they become dependent on you in an unhealthy way. Again, I'm not saying there's not space for you to do that every once in a while, but if it's a pattern, it needs to be reevaluated. That brings me to the third point. How can we practice empowerment instead of enabling? I think empowerment really involves supporting people in our family while allowing them to take ownership of their actions and their decisions. For example, instead of doing your kids' homework, which I see a lot of parents do, drives me crazy, honestly, guide them through that process and let them complete it themselves. Melody Beattie says this: "Letting go helps us live in a more peaceful state of mind and helps us restore our balance." If you can let go of your child's homework or let go of them potentially getting a bad grade, let go of redoing their chore because they didn't do it well, but let them learn. Let go of rescuing them if somebody's mad at them, a friend or someone else. This helps build independence and that self-reliance, and you are robbing them of that opportunity if you jump in. So how do we create that balance between support and independence? I didn't tell you the ending of the story yet with my daughter, but I'll share a part of it. I very much wanted to jump in and save her, but I knew that I'd be robbing her of an experience. So I leaned on my husband for support. Otherwise, I knew I'd become a softie and save her. And I said, "Hey, we don't want you to feel like you're alone. You're navigating something difficult, and a big part of me wants to jump in and save you. But I know that's not going to help you in the long run." There are other ways we can offer support. For example, if you feel like some of that $1,000 is not fair and accurate, if you need me to come in with you to talk to the registrar and be that support to you as you advocate for yourself on some of that fundraising money that maybe didn't get applied, I'm happy to be there to support you. Or it could be something like help with budgeting or some accountability with your finances over the next couple months. Let me know. I'm happy to help you, and we can figure out a way to best do that that would be a win for you and not create resentment for either one of us. I gave her several other options, but let her know that, hey, you are not alone. I can show up in different ways, and we are not going to rescue from this experience because this is something that you didn't communicate with us and you weren't entirely honest about either. It's not about this shame thing. It's just, hey, there's a lesson to be learned here. And it's important that you take care of this because this is a situation you put yourself in. This also means setting clear boundaries and expectations while being available for that guidance when needed. For example, one of my clients learned to let her husband struggle when caring for their newborn, which allowed him to develop parenting skills and confidence. Because initially she was really struggling and kept jumping in because she noticed he was tense and uneasy, knowing how to best meet that newborn's needs and felt overwhelmed by it. She quickly jumped in and took the baby or told him what to do when he wasn't asking for advice or when he just wanted to figure it out on his own. And over time, she realized that's not helping anyone. So instead, she pulled back more and she just said, if you do need guidance or suggestions, or if you need some help, just let me know and I'm willing. And she had to set a boundary with herself where she had to sometimes leave the home or do other things in order to prevent herself from jumping in, because that's a pattern she's created for so long that she has to break that and change those neural pathways. I even do that when my husband is cooking. Like, we finally have broken up the schedule a little bit more where we all take turns cooking in our house, except for our 9-year-old. It's hard for me not to jump in and save them, especially when they're struggling so much. So I do leave the house. I go on a walk. I do things where I'm not so available to quickly and easily solve problems, because they know that I often will, but then they just get stuck in that cycle of, I don't know how to do this. I know that I just want to save everybody. So I remove myself until I'm strong enough. And sometimes that's what we have to do, and that's okay. The last thing I want to talk about is how we can implement that change and overcome those challenges. It requires some grace for ourselves. It also requires recognizing when you're about to enable instead of choosing to empower them. So this might mean having an open conversation with your family about boundaries and about expectations. It's also so important to be prepared for resistance, because they probably will resist. It's easier when you just do things for them. And then to maintain consistency in your approach. Like, sometimes I over-explain, or I just have this puppy dog face where I feel so bad that I can't jump in and save them. And they jump on that. Oh, mom's feeling bad, so I can probably get what I want if I just keep pushing a little bit. So it's making sure you are ready to empower and you get some backup. You talk to your spouse and you're like, I'm feeling a little bit weak, like I might cave here. Help me to show up in a way where I can empower, but still show that love and support, even if I'm not rescuing them. So I want to go back to the story of my daughter again. We did end up deciding to let her face the financial consequences, even though she was also paying for her Disney World trip. Those things were all things she decided to do, regardless of our feedback that this is probably too much. This is a financial burden. There's certain things we are willing to pay for, extracurriculars, things that you're excited about that we will absolutely pay for. And we feel like this money could be better spent elsewhere. But ultimately, you can decide. Now, we don't always let her decide, but in this situation, we did with Disney World. And she decided to go forward with it. And that has caused some stress and overwhelm. But these are also key lessons for her to learn, especially before she leaves home, when we can't be there to talk it through with her and empower her and support her in certain ways, so that this won't haunt her in a more devastating way with bigger consequences further down the road when she's not under our belt and in our home. Initially, that was very stressful for her and overwhelming. But when we talked to her about, hey, we're willing to support you in certain ways, maybe not by paying that money, but showing up to advocate for you, helping you with a budget, keeping you accountable. I even told her I was willing to have her do some work if she wanted to earn some money to help with some of those things. So she could help me with design work for the business, those types of things. But I wasn't saving her. I wasn't rescuing her, but I was still supporting her and letting her know that, hey, my husband and I both let her know that we're all human. We make mistakes. We course correct. But that doesn't mean you can be saved from those experiences. Sometimes I've saved her too quickly. Because of that, she learned some valuable lessons about responsibility. She's going to be learning some valuable lessons about budgeting and taking ownership. My client also learned how to allow her husband to struggle and learn. Over time, less tension in the home, more confidence for a new dad, as well as more couple connection between the two of them, and less fear and resentment for my client and that home environment. So here are a few key takeaways from today's episode. Choose empowerment over enabling. Allow your loved ones to face challenges and build that resilience and confidence. Also, set clear boundaries and establish those expectations while being available for guidance and not heaping on the shame. The next one is foster that independence. Support others in developing their skills and their decision-making abilities, and then also navigate that resistance because there will be pushback. There always is, and it's really hard to not bend and break. Get somebody to back you up and help you when you feel like you might not be strong enough. Be prepared for that pushback and maintain that consistency in your approach. My friends, when you apply these simple things, you're going to create a more balanced and fulfilling environment for both yourself and your family. But it does require leaning in and recognizing that those growing pains are going to be uncomfortable, not only for your child, not only for your spouse, but for yourself, as you resist that urge to rescue. Thank you, my friends, for tuning into Fulfillment Therapy today. Don't forget you can check out our blog on fulfillmenttherapy.org/blog. And we have all of these episodes broken down for every single episode we air. So check that out, as well as our courses or our coaching or anything else on our website if you would like to take your life to the next level. All right, my friends, I'll see you back here in just a few days. Hey friends, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, chances are someone else would too. Would you take 30 seconds to share this with a friend who's looking for greater family fulfillment? And while you're sharing, tell me what you think about the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. It refuels me when I hear this podcast is helping you, no matter what your house or your hair looks like. I'll meet you back here every Monday and Thursday morning for more episodes. Until then.